Hey now, Petey Grizz here, and today we're going to check out another interesting knife. I mean, what a surprise. Maybe one day I'll start the video and say, hey, today we're going to look at vintage airplane. Yay! No, it's going to be another knife. Anyway, so what we got here is check this guy out, man. Look at that. And this is real tortoise. This is the biggest knife I've got that's got real tortoise on it. How do you tell real tortoise versus plastic? The way I do it is I heat up a pin and I stuck it in. You're not going to be able to see it. You find a spot where you can't, where you won't notice it. And so on knives, a lot of times there won't be a spot. But like, say the inside edges of this would be a good spot to do it. And what you do is heat up a pin with like a lighter or a match. And then, so that it's like red hot, and poke it in there. And basically, if it's tortoise, it'll smell like natural. It'll smell like burning hair, burning bone or flesh. If you've ever smelled that, you know what that smells like. And also, if it's not tortoise, then it's going to smell like plastic, which most people know the smell of that. If you've ever had an electrical fire or something short out in your car and smell the wire burning, you know what plastic smells like. But yeah, this is very nice tortoise too. I mean, it's all scratched up, but the pattern in it, that's another way you can tell. A lot of times tortoise, the faux tortoise has kind of like this rounded patterns going on. I should have grabbed, of course, I never plan ahead and grab another example, but this streaking is just great. This would have been like very high grade tortoise. This is a Japanese knife, so no surprise. They would have had no shortage of tortoise and no qualms about using it. So yeah, this is Japan all the way. First up, we've got this little tiny corkscrew. I mean, it's fine, but I think it's a little small. I think a lot of corks it would rip out rather than pull the cork out. It's not that the cork screw needs to be long; it needs to be wide enough to, that there's enough surface area engaged with. When you got a really thin corkscrew, there's barely any space in the center, so it's basically just squeezing the cork out, kind of. Yeah, got filthy nickel silver liners. Look at that. Oh yeah, she's a looker. Next up, we got that punch, little European style punch, whatever you want to call it. Good snap on that guy. On this side, this is what makes this knife interesting. It's very much like a Swiss Army knife, but it's got some interesting stuff going on. Here, this is a can opener that's missing, that broke off. So, I bought this knife very cheap. I've seen other ones, like better examples, but they were more money than I was willing to take a gamble on. So I decided to buy this one for a few bucks so I could check it out in hand and decide if I want to spend the more money on an actual intact one. And the answer is yes. I do want to spend more money on one of these. We've got a little like technician's type screwdriver here. Super cool. Yeah, I always wondered, like, you see this on a lot of these German knife screwdrivers where they did these inlays here. Like on larger screwdrivers, electrician screwdrivers, this would often be sharpened to be a cable stripper, but I don't know why they do it. Sometimes I think they just did it for appearance. But yeah. On the scales, we've got something pretty neat. Look at this pair of tweezers that comes out of that knife. I mean, it's crazy. These are like full size, like tweezers. They're easily as good, probably better than any that would come in, like, you say, your cheap first aid kits. They don't have any tip grip. These actually have, texture stamped into the tips. They meet up nice and clean and flush. They've got good tension, but not too much. Nice little set of tweezers. I mean, they really thought that, for whatever reason, they thought the scale tools were going to be the big seller for this one, because they really went overboard with this. Look at these scissors that go in the scale. I've never seen anything like this. I think it's pretty cool. They're nice little scissors. I mean, they're pretty much on par with, anything from Germany or Switzerland from the period. But the cool thing about these scissors is this. They slide in there, and then they don't work. So I saw that in a picture, but I don't think they're meant to go in that far. I think this piece broken off. They're just supposed to go in like this, and then you can shoot, 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 shoot. But push them in too far, it don't work. But super cool. I've never seen a pair of scissors like that lodged inside the scales. But very cool. It's cool how you can see it through the tortoise. Really neat. So let's look at the top side on this guy. First up, we've got a pokey thing. Yeah. Don't know what it is. It's just probably like a pipe punch, or, you know, like I've said before, there's always something you can do with a small metal pokey thing. There are just times when you just need to manipulate something with a small part, and this is the kind of thing you would use. I think it's meant to be kind of a reamer, like mini punch. I don't know what they were planning, but you know, it's cool nonetheless. On this side, there is a small blade, presumably a small clip blade, or maybe it might be a small pen blade since the main's a clip, but it's broken off completely. Yeah. Next up, we've got a nail file, double-sided nail file, and look, it's cross. It's yeah, I forget what they call it. This is cross cut, and this is like doubled back or whatever. So that's actually got double cut. It's a double cut, single cut, and double cut file. That's what I'm calling it. And a nail cleaning tip. It's a little rough shape, typical Japanese stuff. The Japanese would seem to build a lot of good knives, but they didn't, when it came to this mass-produced stuff they were exporting, they suddenly lost their famous attention to detail. And finally, we've got the main blade. The tip was broken off of this. I kind of revived it a little bit. I still might work on it more. This blade is all chewed up from that file riding next to it for years. And also, here's the other thing. When I got it, somebody had closed the file and the main blade crossed. So the file was actually, the blade was pushed way down here and the file was on the inside, which made no sense. But yeah, that's why the blade is all scratched up here, where it shouldn't be, because for years somebody had been closing it the wrong way. Somebody used this thing. They used the crap out of it. They carried it. They definitely shoved those blades back in the wrong way. But here's our stamp. Kanenaga made. I don't know anything about it. I looked it up. You'll find a ton of knives with that name. So it doesn't say Japan anywhere on it, but that doesn't surprise me. Post World War II, there was a long period where you know, Japan was like just their people were trying to rebuild an economy. They had, you know, all their factories had been destroyed. You know, they were trying to build up, so they were exporting, making cheap stuff and exporting it to sell just to build up revenue. And but you know, this is a cool knife. I'm going to look for another example that's intact. I think I would really enjoy carrying this knife. The quality is good. There's some like little things that when I find an intact one, I will clean up certain things like these sharp, you know, rough edges on some of the spines and stuff where you can just see somebody didn't quite finish the job, but that don't really impact the usefulness of the knife, the utility. So anyway, thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Petey Grizz, out of here.